Alright, so what we did is measure from here to there, and this is where the measurement of how far the wall came out from the corner radius wall post. So from the outside of here to here was about 7/8, so it was almost 1 inch. So 7/8 from here. So when we did that, when we sit that in there, that's gonna give us our marking of where to line this up against here. It'll sit right in here nice and good, but once it gets up here, it'll want to go in more further. So that way we know exactly where we want it, and that's the next step. All right, guys. So we're covering the corner radius. All I did was once you got your curve, based off of the old brackets that you have, you mark them, you save these so that you can use them as a template as the right amount of curve. You mount it up in there and you use a pen. So this was pretty easy. You just tack on a piece of whatever size material you're dealing with, piece of metal strip, tack it on there, and then heat it up and start pressing it down, and then tack along until you get to the bottom. Then fill up with your tacks and go ahead and go to town with the sander. This part is not crucial. I'm going to wind up cutting it off, but make sure you do your little bevels on there so you get the most amount of strength when you weld that little strip, because you might wind up sanding down a lot of your weld, depending if you're going to be showing whichever part. All right, so now that we got that piece on there, what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to go ahead and start trimming the sidewall. All right, you can do this really with anything, like a skill saw or a cutoff wheel. I'm gonna go for the plasma cutter. What I'm gonna wind up doing is using the T-square method. Instead of using T-square, I'm gonna use one of these little pieces and clamp on each side until I get the right amount of width. It only got to get cut out about 7/8, and let's show you guys 7/8 of an inch. And let's show you guys how the finished product is gonna look like. And that's the finished product right there. That's one side already mounted up and cut up and welded. I mean, not welded, but you know what I mean. Well, welded with this square plate here. So this, I just used a 1/4 inch square plate, and I welded it onto the base here. All right, and there, and then go ahead and weld right here. And right here I was having some issues. Floor kept getting cut open because the heat was too hot, so don't mind that. And then you might want to finish some little small details, like getting a little piece of 8 and run it right there, weld it in place so you have completely sealed panel. And that's how that is gonna finish out. All right, and let's go to the top to show you the detail up there, how it's gonna sit. And you can see the clearance on there. It's pretty good. Some spots I went a little bit much, but you want to be very careful doing this because you can mess it up. Now, this is the top portion. You see how that goes there? I think it came out pretty good. All right. One thing to mention, this is the rain gutter. I think that's what they call it. Now, my method, I wind up showing this end cap and cutting the rain gutter short. Now thinking about it, honestly, I wish I would have made this rain gutter just come out up to the end here, so it can make a nice little gap. You might deal with a little bit of gap here because this is where the two panels meet, and it kind of just comes out on its own. I try to do as much as I can, but this is what I'm going to be dealing with. So I'm probably going to go ahead and you know, throw a little bead of weld on there and go ahead and caulk the living hell out of it. All right. So those are just things to take a note, depending on what you want to do with the rain gutter. If you want to come out with it, or if you want to keep it like this. I don't know. Either way, I think this, you know, really looks good. We went ahead and caulked this whole little piece because you don't want no water getting in there before we threw the rivets on there. So that's the end result, just so you know what you're dealing with. And we're gonna go right back to this side. So like I said, we're gonna cut this section off right here, and this is the square plate I was talking about right here. This is the floor. Now I haven't welded this section just because we're gonna be cutting off this portion, so there was no sense in doing that. All right. Right now, the next thing is gonna be, like I said, cutting this piece down, just about 7/8. All depends on how much you want to go back, but I wanted to keep this as factory as possible, the width. I mean the how long the trailer is going to be. I mean the trailer, the Stepvan. Now you see, this is what I cut off here, and what you can do also with the piece that you cut off, you can reuse this as a template to where to put your screws at. I mean your rivets. So fasten that up to your panel, and you can remain with the factory spacing of the rivets. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, cool little hack that you can do with this project. So let's get to it. All right, so for this part, what we're going to be doing is creating the edge for where the sheet panel is going to rivet itself onto. Now you can do multiple ways of doing this. You cannot just use this. You can just rivet inside of your post, but all depends on the look that you're trying to go for. And that look, what I was trying to go for, is like that semi-truck look, where it has the beam and then it has the sheet panel along the side. So if you ever look at a trailer, a semi-trailer, you're gonna see that the sheet panel goes there, and then the end frame goes around. And it's gonna look like that. So in order to achieve that look, we need to add these strips, which the sheet panel is gonna attach itself to. Now what we're doing is mimicking the sheet panel thickness, right, which is 1/8. So I got 1/8 here, and I just got another 1/8 to, that's what I'm gonna be welding to this post. So you just double them up, right, and you create yourself like a jig in a way, you know. You got this making the flat surface, and then you pinch the actual two together, and you want this flush with the outside. Now this moves here, but the working area where I'm going to be at is right here, so you can see that this is pretty smooth. And then we can go ahead and start tacking our beads along here, and then start working around here. And then when we get to this end, you know, we'll tack up along here, heat this up, and make a nice little curve around here. All right. This is going to be more of a freehand, more than using a jig, because you're just going to try to maintain that quarter, that 1/8 gap. All right. So, anyways, let's get to it. All right, guys. So this is what we have here. We already started doing the top. And this is what we need to do, just the bottom. This is what I was talking about, doing the T-square. Just getting a little piece of metal and buzzing it down as a guide for the plasma cutter. So we already did the top, about to do the bottom. After that, we'll have room to put in this post up here on the left side, for the driver's side. And then once we do that, go ahead and rivet it in and weld in the floor plate. The 1/4-inch floor plate, and then we should be good to go for that post. And we still need to do this post here and this post up here. All right, so we're gonna be removing that eventually, and gonna be removing a little section of this. All right, just hold it. Huh? Here, it's recording already. You guys want to just make sure you put some caulk right up through the seam, and then make sure to do the top. This is a 10-year mold, lifetime guarantee. Color is your choice. Man, get yourself some Clecos and a beautiful girl to put them in. Beautiful woman. That'll hold the piece in while you work on it. There she goes. Oh, wow. Look at that face. Alright, that's what you're going to have to work with. Then you're going to start putting in these rivets. Alright. And that's pretty much in. You'll see it mushroomed in a little bit. And we check the outside. That's the finished product. Now I gave this a little bit too much pressure. It flattened out the rivet on the other side. Just adjust your pneumatic gun so it's not kicking in a lot of force, because you can't just break the rivet and have to sand it through and all over. So pretty easy thing. Hope you guys learned something. And again, I can't rule out a couple thunderstorms tomorrow and the rest of the week, but the heat sticks around. We're in the middle and upper 80s all day long. Alright. Again, JC Rivet. That's who I got it from. Not getting paid by them or anything. But alright, once you got all your pieces, once your rivets are all in, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and mount the floor plate, the 1/4-inch floor plate right here. We got to do a little bit cutting just to get this nice and tight, and then we're gonna go ahead and sand off these rivets so we can get this section off and put the new tube on there. All right, once you we remove those rivets, pop that old panel, it's over there, and that exposed this section. The reason why I left that there is because that was kind of one of the last pieces that was the actual real length of the Stepvan. So I exposed it. Now we measured from here to there. We're going to put a bar across, 75/8, and then we're going to go ahead and tack that in, weld it in, and that's the next step. Alright, so now after some fitment issues, this piece is now ready to go on. Weld this little section on there, so we'll be able to put this on and complete the bottom portion. All right, guys, welcome back. We have attached this post here, and we just did a little mock-up. I wanted to initially wanted to get this edge right up to to this edge, get it flush, but where the bolts are located, you see I already kind of did a drill mark, and I just realized that I did a mistake, so I'm gonna have to clean that up and weld it in and sand it back down so it can be nice and flat. But what you can see here is bringing these up to the side is not going to work, because it just won't it'll interfere. The bolt will interfere once it gets inside, because we got this little plate that we got here. So doing that is not going to obviously work. We got the rivets there, and you already see that nut and washer already pretty close, so bringing that over, it's not going to be a good idea. Anyways, the other thing I wanted to mention, we do have this little extra piece for adding another light, so we'll take that off for now. Kind of was banging this in place to crack the welds over here. You can see kind of messed this up a little bit. Got the aluminum cracked, so we're gonna have to cut it into a V so we can re-weld that, make it strong again, and we got to re-bend this back into shape. It's a little bit bent here, you can see that. So we're gonna heat this up give it a couple blows with the hammer, and hopefully straighten out. We got this piece in there. Now what we're gonna do is get this side in place as well. And then once we got both places, both side supports on, we're gonna go ahead and get our true measurement from the bottom base and actually cut this piece here. Cut that. Jesus Christ. So once we get this side support on, we got both. We're gonna take our measurement from there to there, get our real measurement, and make sure everything is square, so we can cut the bottom base off of the liftgate, and then move everything and work on that. While that's gonna be cooling off, because we're gonna be doing a lot of cutting and torching today, we're gonna also work on the top support, which is this is right here, but we just need to finish doing this. So we're gonna be losing our lights up there, cutting off the roof a little bit, and making sure that that's at the right spot so we can weld our last piece there, and then work on doing the diagonal bracing for the liftgate. So that's what we got left for today. All right, we're on the roof right now, and you can see we got this lined up exactly where we want it. We're gonna have that trimmed up right there, so we can do exactly what we want with that 3/4 inch piece that we weld on to the main frame, and that's gonna give it where the rivets won't be here, they'll be on this side. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and cut that. Let's get to it. All right, we're using a skill saw here. I want a nice straight line, so I don't have the best lines to do the plasma cutter. I don't want to just be up here with the plasma cutter. I don't want to get my cord cut. So I'm just going to use the skill saw, circular saw up here. Good, Mikey. You can shut it off.